Will you be traveling during these festivities? Will you be using the roads? Well, we're asking questions this morning of how you're going to be doing that safely. And the agency, which is responsible for ensuring that you're able to do that safely, is here represented this morning by no other than the Chief Executive Officer and Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps. Dr. Babuyi Oyeyemi, welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Our statistics so far are not very good. For when we look at road safety, at least safety on our roads, we understand that figures from agencies put Nigeria's road casualty average at 33.7 per 100,000 people annually. We also understand that that translates to about 5,539 deaths in 2013, 4,430 fatalities in 2014. It goes up. It keeps going up. Let me take the last two. 5,181 in 2018 and 5,483 in 2019. Not very pretty figures, you must admit. So what are we doing this year? Because we know that this is one time that our roads are going to be very busy. What extra measures are we putting in place this year to ensure that we do not see this high number of casualties and fatalities as we go into the festive season?
Oh, thank you. Good morning. The figure you reel out, from the professional perspective, is not so frightening. You are talking about looking at a population of 203 million to a road network of 204,000 kilometers and vehicular density of 12.5 million. When you look at the population of 203 to something of 6,000, slightly less, it's not so frightening. But again, it shows the realities. These figures you've mentioned now, they are lives that have been lost. The question is, what do we need to do, or what are we doing to be able to just ensure that we have what we call an acceptable death rate? And
our death rates are very acceptable. I was just wondering.
Look, you see, if you are talking even about ambitious zero death, you cannot. Even in developed countries, people die in road traffic. If you have observed what happened in about 3 countries recently, 50 people die in one crash. Look at what happened in Ghana. It's two just happened early this week in some countries. Nigeria is not so frightening to that level. The only thing is that which we are battling with has to do with crashes at night from 9:10 till about 5 a.m. Most of the crashes is within the range of 12 midnight to 4:30. And with the fundamental issues, you cannot restrict movement of people. You can only give an advisory notice that people should be wary of driving at night because of so many factors. But it's not so alarming to that level. But if we can curtail the issue of crashes between 12 and 4:30 a.m., I think we'll be in a better state. What are we doing? The critical issue has to do with the violation by the trailers that carries cattle, and they now put human beings on top. Then the body chemistry, you cannot cheat it. By the time it's too free, fatigue sets in. They lose they lose the control of the vehicle. The last ones we raised alarm early this year, which were able to curtail 27, 26, 25 in one crash. There were 3 crashes that were recorded by 60. That was why I had to tour the northwestern part of the country to appeal to His Eminence the Sultan, the governor of Sokoto State, Kebbi State, all these axes Zamfara, to appeal to them so that the religious leaders can talk to them. And we got results. But the issue is that we still need to do more to have a permanent solution in respect of this excessive loading and movement at night to curtail this. But in daytime, I think, I must tell you again, in the urban areas, there are more crashes of recent, like Lagos, Abuja. Kano is doing well now. So, but if you look at all this, if you can have a collective efforts in ensuring a safe travels, compliance to road traffic rules and regulations, I think we get it right. And for the festive period now, I think we've done well with all the stakeholders. We must commend the government. A lot of federal roads are undergoing major rehabilitations that have been on the road for some days now. And the construction companies have been guided to ensure that they manage the traffic where the construction is going on, display appropriate warning signs, and let there be movement. And for the patrol teams too, this is not an era of booking, it's an era of ensuring that the road is free, the obstructions are removed. Then
they have that instruction. Now, this is not
already.
This is not an era of bookings.
No.
This is an era of
except if you are driving under the influence of alcohol, you cannot move again. You know, we appreciate our stakeholders. We have digital equalizers. We've procured about, early in the year, made sure we have about 25,000 equalizers, so which we are deploying. Then the mobile court comes in. But with the sensitization we've done so far and the level of awareness, I believe we are going to have a better than even last year. That was a major success. What is required is the support of the road users to comply with the traffic rules and regulations. And one area we normally have during the festive period has to do with the private drivers. They are more involved in crashes. There's a difference between urban driving and highway driving. Urban driving, you do school runs. From the house, you drop your word in the school. Then you go to you drop your wife, or from there you go to the office. When you close, you go back. It's different from highway. Many families have experienced crashes because they don't have the experience of how to drive on the highway. After 10, 20 kilometers, fatigue sets in, and distraction comes a lot in respect of this. So more or less, I will continue to advocate for attitudinal change on the part of road users.
No, but when you mean private drivers, you don't mean, you mean those who are driving their families?
Somebody like you.
Okay, not commercial drivers.
Yeah.
I know that there has been a number of moves with commercial drivers in the past. You've had sensitization activities around parks. You've also insisted on the use of speed limiting devices. How successful would you say that has been?
It's been a success. I was still in Kano last Monday for the end of the year flag off with the governor of Kano State. And we raised this issue. And my strategy session to the commanding officers, all commercial drivers must have the speed limiting device installed. Most of the crashes are speed related. 50%. We must do something to cut down this. Because where we're not talking about private drivers now is because a commercial driver carries about 10, 15 vehicles. A luxury bus carries about 45, 50. If anything happens, if there's a mishap, those lives are lost or maimed or injured or confined permanently to a wheelchair. But for a private vehicle, you are looking at about 1 or 2 or 3 or a family. But even that is even dangerous. But when it comes to figures, we need to focus more on commercial drivers, and especially the unions also agree that drivers will not be allowed to drive under the influence of drugs and alcohol, because that is another key issue in respect of that. And that is where we are focused our campaign for the end of the year. We believe with a positive attitudinal change on the part of road users, 2022 is around the corner.
Some people will say that it is easier to speak with commercial drivers, especially those who are organized. But there are lots of them who are not organized. Those who pick passengers from illegal motor parks. We've seen a lot of, let's say, vehicles. And I wonder sometimes if those vehicles, especially the ones that are not buses, they're like cars. They usually ply maybe Abuja, Nasarawa, Abuja, Kaduna, those kinds of routes. I don't think those vehicles have speed limiting devices, do they?
I agree with you that the organized transport sector, OTS, they are organized and they've complied. They are under the Road Transport Safety Standardization Scheme. But all those ones that just are trying to make quick money or using the company's vehicle when the companies have closed for the year, those are where the problem lies. Some of them, I agree with you, they don't have speed limiting devices. But when we stop them, we impound them. And those are the ones that frequently breaks down on the highway when they are traveling, because those vehicles are not well maintained. But we continue to do our best in respect of that. And again, if you listen to what the unions, URTW, RTA, NATO have said, that they discourage road passengers from standing by the roadside to be picked because there's so much risk involved. The unions cannot account for that. But if you go to the motor park, you have the passengers manifest. This is recorded, and they can track the drivers. They know the routes they take. But when you just stand by the roadside, you are endangering yourself to the risk on the highway because you don't know the driver. The driver is not recorded. You don't have anything to prove. Then anything can happen. So we use this medium again to appeal to Nigerians not to stand by the road and be looking for a free ride. In the era of this kidnapping and strangling people anyhow, people should go to the registered motor parks or the organized transport sector and to be loaded. You see, if you look at it at the end of the day, it's a matter of penny wise, pound foolish. If they are charging 10,000 in the parks and then somebody wants to carry for 7,000, so you want to risk your life with 3,000, I think we need to be more sensible this time around. It's a matter of risk factor, and the burden is on you for you to take for the choice. We need to be careful.
Well, safety on the roads now is like it's going beyond just vehicle and people getting, how will I put it now, people just driving safely. It's now also about security on the road.
Yeah.
How is that impacting the work of the FRSC?
I think so far so good. Throughout the country, everything has been, we've not had any major casualty. I must thank the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of the Department of State Services, and the Commandant General of Civil Defense. We've had maximum support from all the security agencies. So I think we're on course. We're on course on this. And recently, if you remember, just on the 16th of October, we inaugurated the body cameras. And I've authorized the deployment to 20 states now. Body cameras makes the patrol team to be seen anywhere they are, once there's 3 or 4G network. And with the 5G coming now, I think we're on top of using technology. The focus now is using technology to drive road safety management and administration in Nigeria. So with body camera, we know if anything happens or about to happen to our patrol teams, we know what to do. And we have set up the rapid response system in the HQ and other locations. So peradventure, there's emergency. Within fraction of seconds, we know the team to be deployed for rescue. But so far, I think we are free of all this. We've not had casualties, except when staff in commercial vehicles are traveling and they are kidnapped. But again, the DSS has been so helpful and the police in respect of this. So far, so good. I think with the current situations, we're on top of the situation.
So the work of the FRSC hasn't been threatened as a result of the security situation in many parts of the country. I'm wondering now, in terms of emergencies, because some people will say that part of the reason why perhaps our figures, you say it's not so alarming. But
no.
Why
5,000 plus.
Why our figures don't look so good? Because, I mean, 33 deaths out of 100,000 to other countries that we compare with is still quite high, especially in low and mid-income countries. It's not exactly the best figures. Let me put it that way. Part of it is as a result of emergency response not coming on time, or the fact that medical facilities are few and far between, especially when you look at the highways. I know that the FRSC tried to, bridge that gap by setting up emergency response units in
zebras.
Yes, in different parts of the country and on the highways as well. How effective would you say those that facility is, or those facilities are? Because in some parts of the country, it looked like initially they looked pretty active, they look brand new, they look sharp, but these days they look like a shadow of themselves.
No. I think we are doing well when it comes to emergency response, or let me say under the National Network on Emergency Road Services. We just took delivery of some ambulances and I've just set up more zebras. I think we're in the critical corridors now. Don't forget, lifespan of a vehicle like that, of our vehicles, is 3 years, and we need to reflate. And we're on course in that one. With the capital votes, we've been able to procure more vehicles. Those vehicles that are aged, we are replacing them gradually. We've just released all these vehicles this week. And I believe for emergency services, we are doing well. The World Bank mode is that maximum 15 minutes. In cities like Abuja and Lagos, I think we are doing far much better like that. Then on Lagos, Ibadan too, we are doing well. So then we've just, to the northeastern part of the country, I've just authorized establishments of some zebras. Those are the ambulance points we're talking about. So we have them all over the country like that. But on emergency, you must give kudos to FRSC for the efforts we are making in respect of this. It can be better I'm expecting more funds from the government, intervention funds. So that means almost all the major highways now, we're going to have ambulance services deployed.
Let's go to Lagos now. I understand my colleague Ayo has questions for you.
Thank you, Malkwe. Doc, just first of all, a reaction to one question, well, one issue you raised the other time about the number of crashes at night between the hours of, say, 10 p.m. and, say, 4 a.m. or thereabouts. One of the findings I made recently talking about this is that some of these crashes are as a result of the use of high beams on the highways. And in checking, I found out that we have some regulations that is supposed to be enforced. I don't know how else to put that. That, you are not supposed to use high beams at certain times or in certain distances between one vehicle and the other. So I'm wondering, is there an enforcement strategy for the use of high beams? Because high beams in someone's eyes on an oncoming vehicle, that's a potential accidents in the making.
I agree with you. The law does not allow you, the traffic laws and regulations, especially the National Road Traffic Regulations, does not allow you to add to the beams provided by the manufacturers. The manufacturers have seen what is expected to be used. The problem is that the mentality of our drivers, and it's part of the operations order we have given to the commands, to the patrol teams, even in daytime now, that all those extra lights be removed. There is no law that allows you to add anything to what the manufacturers have designed for the vehicle. The major problem with these drivers is that they're having sight problems, and there is an act of wickedness and stupidity on the part of those drivers to add additional lights. I agree with you, and that is the sustainability, sustained enforcement will eliminate this. Thank you.
Perhaps this is also education on our part. Just this one, we just received a mail from Philip, who says he boarded a bus and Traco from Makurdi to Enugu. The company is owned by Enugu state government, and such some of the vehicles that are government owned carry government number, which is in the green, green. While in transit, officers of road safety corps that were on routine check on the Benue section close to Enugu stopped our bus and insisted on charging the driver to a mobile court, which was a few meters away, alleging that his bus is carrying a green number plate. Is that is that something you want to speak to?
Well, I think the patrol team, I must be honest, the patrol team was wrong. Government vehicles, government transport-owned companies, by the regulation, are authorized to use the green number plates, and it's in the vehicle identification code book. So I think I must be frank, the patrol team was wrong. And if the driver was then prosecuted, then we have to look for a way to resolve the matter. I must stand on the point of what the law says. For government-owned commercial transport companies, the law allows them to have the government number plates for proper identification.
Well, we have also someone writing here in Abuja, where we both live. This one is from Chukwenike Okonkwo Bruno. He says he needs to ask two questions. Why isn't the Road Safety Corps doing anything about commercial drivers in Abuja that allow two persons in a passenger seat, that is beside the driver's seat, meant for one person? That's one. And why isn't the Road Safety Corps doing anything about commercial motorcyclists in Abuja riding without that side or rear mirrors, both of them?
I think in the first instance, the issue of overloading by commercial vehicles, we've been working on this, but they're like monsters. They're defiant, but we continue to sustain this. There's a high level of lawlessness among the commercial drivers. Like the guy said in FCT, it is not, the law does not allow you to carry two passengers in the front row with the driver. It is not correct, but we continue to sustain the enforcement. As regards the Okada,
would you say that is it because the penalties are not steep enough, or because some people
the
think
penalties the fines are
very
very low, and
yeah.
We've advocated. I think we are reviewing the National Road Traffic Regulations now. Before the middle of next year, the revised one will be out. The penalties are not serving as deterrence. That is one issue. When you ask a driver to just 2,000 for some of these offenses, the man will pay and still commit the offense. So the only thing is to take such a person to mobile court. Maybe we can press further to get him jailed for a period. But he's right. But we continue to sustain the efforts. That is one major problem. And don't forget the resolution of the National Council on Transportation that requested all the state governments to have high-capacity buses for transportation. If all the states can imbibe in this, if there are buses that can carry passengers, people will not do that. So
high-capacity buses will be?
Those luxury buses that can carry about 50, 60 at a time. So when they move at the various bus stops, they pick passengers and disembark. So, but when you don't have that, the issue is that there is a challenge in transportation system which must be addressed.
Especially here in Abuja.
And other states too. Lagos is doing well. I can see Kaduna is doing well now, and Kano. But we need to do more than that. We need to provide effective, efficient, high-capacity transportation system for the citizens. That's the summary. If that is done, you will not experience this.
What about the motorcyclists, especially the ones that do courier?
No, courier. To a certain level, they comply. They wear safety helmets. They do everything. You must give it to them. But it is those private and commercial ones. And if you observe during the news yesterday, about 1,000 plus were destroyed after impoundment by the road traffic services in conjunction with the police and other security agencies. I think what we should advocate for is for the lead agency to continue to sustain the level of enforcement. There are monsters, but the more you sustain it, then the more you're able to curtail it.
Well, we have to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We wish Nigerians and yourself, your service as well, an accident-free season, especially as we go into the festive period. And we hope that, the death rate really comes, crashing down when we are totally done with this season and even beyond. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We've been speaking with Dr. Boboye Oyeyemi, who is a Corps Marshal and Chief Executive of the Federal Road Safety Corps.